Top 5 Frederick Douglass Research Topics. The religious beliefs of Frederick Douglass and their influence on his activism. Frederick Douglass often invoked moral and religious principles in his criticism of slavery and racism. This study investigates Douglass's spiritual beliefs and their impact on his rhetoric and activism. By examining his use of biblical references, critiques of religious hypocrisy, and his moral appeals to conscience, the research uncovers how Douglass used religion both as a personal guide and a public weapon against injustice in 19th-century America. Frederick Douglass and the power of autobiography in social transformation. This research focuses on Frederick Douglass's use of autobiography as a tool for social change. By writing and publishing his life stories, Douglass exposed the brutal realities of slavery while asserting his intellectual and moral agency. The study will analyze the literary techniques he used and the political consequences of sharing his narrative publicly. It also explores the broader implications of autobiographical writing in shaping historical memory and social movements. Frederick Douglass and the transformation of American identity in the 19th century. This research explores how Frederick Douglass redefined what it meant to be American through his life, writings, and activism. By challenging the exclusion of Black Americans from national narratives, Douglass reimagined American identity as inclusive, democratic, and morally accountable. The study examines how his evolving identity, as a formerly enslaved man, a statesman, and a public intellectual, helped reshape the national consciousness around race, citizenship, and justice. Frederick Douglass and his critique of American slavery in international context. This research examines how Frederick Douglass framed American slavery within a global human rights discourse. It explores his travels to Britain and Ireland, his speeches abroad, and how he positioned American slavery as not only a national failure but a global moral crisis. The study will assess how Douglass's international engagements influenced transatlantic abolitionist networks and expanded the reach of his activism beyond U.S. borders. The relationship between Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, allies in the fight for freedom. This research delves into the complex relationship between Frederick Douglass and President Abraham Lincoln. While both were deeply committed to the abolition of slavery, their approaches often differed. The study examines how Douglass challenged Lincoln's initial cautious stance on emancipation, and later how their collaboration led to significant strides in the fight for freedom, especially through the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation and the passage of the 13th Amendment. Find more research topics on studycorgi.com.